people have got to stop framing simple policy disagreements in terms of existential threats to our democracy.
Another day, another video about Republicans being weird, obvious hypocrites and liars and trying to rewrite history, to whitewash not only the legacy of Charlie Kirk, but also of their very party that has normalized political violence in our culture. Mike Johnson was on Fox News being asked about whether or not there needs to be some soul searching on both sides. Of course, it's always on both sides of the aisle about political violence and what brought us here to this moment in the wake of the tragic killing of racist, white supremacist, bigot Charlie Kirk. And Mike Johnson's answer is just absolutely batshit crazy if you live in reality. Where you would think that, yeah, he's chastising Donald Trump a little bit, but we know that's not true. We know that he will never speak ill of the dear leader. He'll never have a cross word for Donald Trump. Moses Mike, the follower, the adherent of Jesus the Christ, would never lie, would he? Get a load of this answer, and then I'm going to fill your ears and eyes with receipts of exactly how dangerous and violent the Republican Party is and will continue to be, unfortunately.
Do you get the sense there is some real soul searching on both sides of the aisle about how we got here?
I think there is. I've spoken to a lot of members on both sides of the aisle, and there's this recognition that, you know, people have got to stop framing simple policy disagreements in terms of existential threats to our democracy and all these phrases you hear all the time. You can't call the other side fascists and enemies of the state and not understand that there are some deranged people in our society who will take that as cues to act and do crazy and dangerous things. And that's what we've seen in increasing frequency. So members of Congress and all public officials have an obligation to speak clearly into this and calm the waters. We can have vigorous disputes. I mean, Charlie Kirk was an expert at that. He loved debate. But Charlie also advanced another really important idea, and that is that he loved the people on the other side of that table. He was never motivated by hate. He was motivated by truth and love. And that's what we have to do. That's who we are as Americans. That is follows the best of our Judeo-Christian traditions and heritage and our civil society, and we have got to get back to that.
You heard it, right? The admonitions from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the man who shares his porn consumption with his son, his accountability buddy, right? You can't call the other side fascists and enemies of the state and not understand that there are some deranged people in our society who will take that as cues to act. You can't? You can't call someone fascist. Yeah. Shannon Bream, thank you. Both sides need to onboard this message. Yeah. Maybe starting with Donald Trump, who also is continuously whining about people calling other people fascists.
The divide in American politics today is between these far-left fascists led by Harris and her group. We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this woman. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist.
Of course, there's a tweet for everything. There's a video clip for everything. And as far as Mike Johnson saying that you can't call people the enemy of the state and then expect unhinged people not to act on that, yeah, maybe we should onboard that information. Maybe since you have the telephone number of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, maybe you should just send him a little text, Mike. Here's a smattering of a mashup of Donald Trump calling people scum and enemies and the enemy of the people, sick, deranged people, doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, sending his unwashed, low information followers whipping them into a frenzy, much like he did when he incited a violent insurrection against the country in an attempt to stay in power extra democratically. Watch this.
The enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country, that's a bigger enemy than China and Russia. One thing I have been, even the enemy, because they are the enemy, what they've said, even that enemy too, and they're really the enemy. They're the enemy of the people, the press. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting.
I think we have more of an enemy from within than we do from outside. You know, if you have a smart president, they talk about China and Russia and everything else. If you have a smart president, they're not going to be the problem. We have a bigger problem from within, and they hate it. I noticed today they were saying, he said the enemy from within. Of course, it's Adam Schiff. These are bad people. These are sick people and bad people.
You talk about the enemy within. There's enemies, America's enemies outside. The enemy within is a pretty ominous phrase if you're talking about other Americans.
I think it's accurate. I mean, I think it's accurate.
Who are you talking about?
And,
the enemy?
you know, I heard that. They say, oh, the enemy.
Are you expecting chaos on Election Day?
No, I don't think so. Not from the side that votes for Trump.
But I'm just wondering if these outside agitators will start up on Election Day. Let's say you win. I mean, let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years. Yeah. You have people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years. You've got, like you said, 13,000 murderers and 15,000 rapists. Right. What are you expecting? Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful Election Day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of Election Day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
So Mike Johnson is saying you can't do what you just watched Donald Trump doing. Why? Because it will encourage deranged people to commit political violence. The other thing Donald Trump's doing right now, he's out there. He was just out there yesterday on the tarmac being asked about political violence. And he goes, you can't do this. We would never do this. We would never make fun. We would never make light of political violence. That's not what we do. That's what the other side does. He just said that. I'll play that and then this came to me. And then we'll get to some clips of Donald Trump doing the very thing he's decrying.
You're already under investigation?
Already under investigation.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of those who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? What? Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
We would never do that. We don't do that. That's them. That's them. That's them. Remember when Paul Pelosi, the octogenarian with now traumatic brain injury because of a hammer attack on his head? Never forget. Remember this from Donald Trump, who was making jokes about it to an audience filled with gleeful, chuckling, laughing Republicans.
We'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job.
It's not just jokes. He's not just joking about political violence. Remember the moment where he said, I wonder how Liz Cheney would like it when the rifles are trained at her face.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
So save it. Save it, Republicans. Save it. Save it, Mike Johnson, you liar, you hypocrite, you stone cold patriot. And it's not just Donald Trump making jokes about political violence. It's not just Donald Trump, the husband of the former Speaker of the House. It's not just Donald Trump saying that a former congresswoman, how'd she like it if she had rifles trained at her face or whatever? We'll see how she likes it. It's Donald Trump when he wasn't president of the United States, inciting, encouraging, making jokes about violence, the kidnap, the hog tying, the impending torture and possibly murder of the, at the time, current seated president of the United States. Let us not forget those posts on True Social. Let us not forget the video, this video that accompanied that post. Republicans are doing what they do, which is lie, which is rewrite history, because when you look at the facts and who they are and what they say and the behaviors they demonstrate, it's not good for them. It doesn't look good for them. So what they have to do is act like none of that is true. That it's the left that's violent. It's Democrats that are violent. We know the truth. They are steadily trying to paint this assailant of Charlie Kirk as some kind of a leftist, even though, after The Guardian reported it, they had to retract that. But no matter, if they can't make a hero out of the guy like they did Kyle Rittenhouse, they will act as though he's one of us. The Mormon kid who grew up in a conservative family, who went as a Halloween costume as a groyper, as a Pepe the Frog meme, who's a Nick Fuentes adherent. Yeah, he's a leftist, all right. Liars and hypocrites. And this is your accumulation to share it with people when they try to say that bullshit, that nonsense, those lies, that hypocrisy. Don't let them win. Don't let them pull the wool over anybody's eyes in your presence. Anyway, let's talk about this in the comments wherever you're watching the video. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at Dollemore.com. Make sure you're subscribed to this program. It is free to do so. And if you want to help support this work monetarily for $2 a month, you could do just that. Do it over on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. Click the join button below the video. You can also go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. What I needed to come up with just one address where you can just go and choose your option if that's your deal. I have a few domains, maybe Team Dollemore. What's everybody think? Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.